Thank you very much for that glowing introduction. I feared maybe the introduction is going to be longer than my speech. Good morning, Your Excellency, Deputy Governor of the National Bank of Cambodia, Madam Newt Chantana, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am truly very pleased to be here for the first annual anniversary of the Credit Bureau in Cambodia. Inadequate access to financial services represents one of the most important constraints to economic development in emerging markets. And in particular for rural, self-employed and small and medium-sized enterprises, a lack of access to financial services basically presents growth or prevents growth. And much of the population in emerging markets is actually in the informal sector, not the formal sector. And for most countries, typically the informal sector accounts for some 90% of employment. So you can see that the ability to stimulate this sector would have a profound effect on national development and gross national product. But traditionally, the MSME sector has been poorly served by financial institutions, but for very good and logical reasons. Many individuals lack a payslip or the ability to demonstrate that they can afford a loan, and likewise businesses typically don't have good accounting records. Overcoming this asymmetry from a lender's perspective is very costly, and especially when one considers the size of the loans involved, it's simply uneconomic sometimes for lenders to serve this segment. Moreover, these customer groups, the MSME sector and rural people, they typically lack the type of collateral that banks are looking for to securitize loans. So it's very difficult for people to actually get loans. But most of these barriers, or many of these barriers, are actually taken down or reduced significantly when you introduce a credit bureau and when you introduce the concept of sharing credit histories. Credit histories demonstrate somebody's capacity to repay loans. They demonstrate good character, which, from a lender's perspective, are two of the most important C's in the 5 C's of credit. And in developed economies, what we've seen is that credit bureaus and credit histories provide another form of collateral. They provide personal collateral. They demonstrate that you have not just the ability, but the character to repay loans. And for a lot of countries, especially in developed markets, this is used by lenders as security in itself. And just protecting your own credit history is a means to obtain credit on an unsecured basis. So access to quality data of this kind, it will never replace traditional credit underwriting, but if you use the information wisely, then you can often reduce the cost of acquisition, so it makes it easier for lenders to serve poorer communities and those customers that we would like to involve in financial inclusion. But in addition to providing better access to credit, credit bureaus also play a very important role, a very important social function within a society. And this has become increasingly more important, not just in Cambodia, but in most of the countries where we see development. If you can educate people to understand how their credit file works and how a credit history works, we have demonstrated that it changes consumer behavior. Once they understand the concept of credit reporting, customers typically repay much better, and in turn they get access to better, cheaper quality services. And access to a complete history of credit commitments allows lenders to better calculate and debt service ratios and the like, and make better decisions. And hopefully, if you use the information wisely, you avoid getting into a position where you have too many over-indebted customers. The Credit Bureau can also play a very supportive role in terms of management of the overall economy, and it can help the central bank monitor growth, monitor trends, even identify stress within portfolios, which if used in a timely fashion, can reduce the possibilities of bank failures. So the benefits of comprehensive credit reporting should be reasonably clear to everyone. So why is an event, a milestone like today, so important? I've been involved in a lot of credit bureau developments and have been working here in Cambodia for almost 10 years on this project. But the simple answer to the question, why is a first birthday important, is because you probably don't realize how complicated it is to build a credit bureau. It's not just the deployment of some technology. It's not just hardware or software. There's a lot of work that goes on in the background to bring people together within a sharing community. The major task is to get everybody on board, banks, lenders, central bank, and so forth. And this usually requires a lot of work in IT departments, in procurement departments, and a lot of work behind the scenes that nobody actually ever gets to see. Now, I'm sure that others, I'm sure in Gary's presentation, he will mention statistics and volumetrics and tell you how many searches, inquiries they've done and how many customers they have on the database. But this really hides the hard yards in terms of what it takes to build a credit bureau. And making your first birthday in credit reporting and having a functional credit bureau within 12 months really truly is a creditable performance. I've never seen it done quite this well and quite this quickly anywhere else. But whilst as a parent you might see your child take its first steps and be really excited, there still remains a considerable amount to do if we are to have aspirations of greater access to financial services and financial inclusion. It really is just the beginning of the journey. New products, new markets, streamlined processes, and the realization that it's data which really runs most of the modern lending systems will take time to develop. And indeed, likewise, the credit bureau itself will carry on developing over the course of the coming years, introducing new products that turn the raw data into very valuable information for the lenders. So in summary, I would like to congratulate all of the stakeholders in this room for a job well done. But so far, you've only just started, and the IFC looks forward to sharing the rest of the journey with you. And with that, I will leave the stage. Okon. Did I get that right? I hope so. Thank you very much.